Hi, I'm Carrie. This is Under Sisterhood. This is a YouTube channel for the single and childless, not by choice person. Our video today is tips for journaling, how it can be more effective for you, along with 4 journaling questions to get you started at the end of this video. If you're somebody who hears about journaling a lot, but you're not sure if you're doing it right, stick with this video. My work as a therapist, I talk about journaling a lot. It's a good way to help bring out clarity, to help externalize feelings, to help get feelings from the inside out, especially if maybe you're not quite sure how to verbalize your feelings, or you feel like you don't have people who are able to hear your feelings and then respond in a good way. Journaling could be like a really good place to just brain dump and get it out. But there are some tips that can make it more helpful if you're somebody who isn't sure if journaling is right for you. The first thing that I would tell you if you're trying to figure out how to make journaling be the most effective is the time at which you're journaling is important. Some people find journaling right before bed, for example, to be really cathartic. It's an opportunity for them to get all their feelings out. They can just get everything that's been stored up in their brain for the day out. That tension is released, and then they feel like they can take a big breath and then go to bed. Other people are the opposite, where they feel like journaling about really difficult feelings can stir them up, can get their adrenaline going, and now they feel like they could go to the moon when in reality they're trying to go to bed. This also depends on what type of journaling you're doing. If you are journaling about some really difficult things, looking to find clarity, looking to expend some of that energy or that feeling, think before you journal before bed. If you're journaling more around gratitude journaling or awesome moment of the day or things that went really well that day, ending your day on that could be a good idea. That's my first tip is, depending on what type of journaling you're doing, think about that and be intentional about that when you choose the time that you're going to journal. And it's going to be some trial and error. You may not know if you're a daytime journaler or a nighttime journaler. Just because you try one way doesn't mean it doesn't work. Try something different and flip up your times. Number 2. This is one that I talk with clients a lot about because, again, for some people, journaling can just stir them right up and take them right up to the moon. Here is a trick if that's you, or if you're journaling about a really difficult topic. End your journaling with an encouraging or supportive statement to yourself. Oftentimes, we journal, we might rage journal or sad journal, and then we just close the book and that's it. And we don't give ourselves an ending or a grounding point before we transition on to the next thing. Remember, even though you're the one journaling about your life, you're still allowed to remind yourself that you have supports, that everything's going to be okay, that you can get through this. You can still comfort yourself and give yourself some words of encouragement. I know it may not be the same as if somebody external to you is doing that. However, this can be a really good way to close your journaling in order to help you transition to the next time. We don't want to open up a wound, pour a bunch of gasoline on it, and then right when the fire starts going, we're like, oh, I should probably stop and now go do something else. No, we need a transition moment between closing your journaling and the next thing. Number 3, journaling doesn't have to make sense. It doesn't have to be eloquent. It doesn't have to be polite. It doesn't have to be good penmanship. Ultimately, if you're thinking it, write it. Just get it out. Don't think about it. Don't worry about it. If you're worried that someone might find your journaling or someone could invade your privacy, then tear it up, rip it up, and get rid of it. Or I don't always suggest this because writing actually is part of the thing that makes journaling effective. But if you're really, really worried about somebody finding it, maybe you type it out on your computer and then you just delete it, right? You don't save it first, but you delete it. Don't think, just write. The 4th tip that I have is set the scene, create the mood, create an ambiance. What do you want your environment to be so you're able to sit down and get a little vulnerable with yourself? Set the mood, right? So maybe you want the lighting to be right. You want to be in a cozy, comfy spot. Maybe you want a cozy blanket to cuddle up to. Maybe you spend some time finding a journal that is really inspirational to you on the cover. Maybe you really love the way the pages feel. Maybe you prefer hardcover to soft cover. Get a great pen that you like. There's a scent or a candle that you like. Maybe you want to cuddle up with your pet. Maybe a guided journal is a better place for you to start. Again, get your materials all together, sit yourself down, and write. You might do this at first, and it's trial and error, remember. You might say, you know what, I actually hated having this candle burning. Or, you know, I really got thirsty during that, so I'm gonna actually have some tea or a coffee or something different that you like while you're journaling. Maybe you want, like, you know what, I actually hated this pen. It got runny and inky all over the place. I don't know what it is, but it's trial and error, and set the stage, set the mood. Intentionally remind your brain, like, this is the time to do this. And you can do that by creating a routine around your journaling process. Number 5, give yourself some transition time between the end of your journaling and your next task, no matter what time of day that is. So don't rush into the next task. Make a consistent routine, not only for while you're journaling, but for those first few minutes after you're journaling. It will help trigger your brain to say, okay, my brain is done with that right now. We're going on to the next thing. That might be a transition time where you're going to get up and go get a drink of water. You're going to do some box breathing and sit there and be mindful in the moment. Maybe you count to 10 before you get up. Mark the transition by having a quick, simple, easy thing that tells your brain, okay, we're done with this now. So those are the 5 tips that I have. If you aren't sure if journaling is right for you, that I'd love for you to try, and then let me know if you have other tips or how these tips work for you. Now that we have the tips ready, now let's go into some journaling questions. Here is question number 1. What would accepting childlessness feel like? If you are single, you can replace that with, what would accepting being single right now feel like? Number 2, what would your thoughts be or your self-talk be if you were accepting being childless? Again, if you're single, replace childlessness with single. So what would your thoughts be, or what would you be telling yourself through self-talk if you were accepting your childlessness? This one is really important, and don't think, just go. Number 3, how would you be spending your time if you were accepting childlessness, and if you're single, singleness? Number 4, how can you incorporate one of those thoughts that you wrote down and one of the things that you said you would be doing? How can you incorporate that into the upcoming week? If you have a specific thought that you would be thinking if you were accepting being childlessness, maybe that thought is, I'm excited about the future. I want you to remember that thought, and then as you're going through your week, I want you to tell yourself that thought. Intentionally say it to yourself. You may feel strange thinking, why am I talking to myself? You're already talking to yourself. But let's interject some accepting thoughts in there. I'm not saying it's going to immediately change how you feel. However, this is just an exercise I'm asking you to do. So number 1, what would accepting childless feel like? Number 2, what would your thoughts be if you were accepting your childlessness? Number 3, how would you be spending your time? And number 4, I want you to think about one of the thoughts that you wrote down and one of the things that you'd be doing. And I want you to spend the next week incorporating that into your routine or schedule. Let me know how this went for you. Also, let me know any other journaling thoughts that help you in the comments below. And remember, subscribe to Sandra Sisterhood for more videos for the single and childless, not by choice person.